if we're talking about natural disasters, let us have a look at the floods that happened
Oh
in
yeah.
Zhengzhou, in the capital city of
Right.
Henan province. You can see it here, right over here. So, actually, let's dive
Yes,
right in, so
please.
to speak. Here we can see people stuck in
So this is
the subway, in the
2021.
tunnels, because
2021 summer, when basically the whole country experienced some kind of floods. Every 2 years the floods are really big, and even the small cities experience for a few days like floods on the streets because the sewer system is not working. The sewer infrastructure is not good.
so either they saved the material, they put in smaller
All of
pipes,
it.
or the pipes might have been clogged because maybe something in construction they might pour cement
Yes,
down
the
there,
pipes are
or
blocked,
these things
or
happen.
just trash just is blocking the pipes or whatever. So these poor people are on
But
the
I mean,
subway in
it's
Zhengzhou,
messed up.
and they are about to die.
Yeah,
They are about to die. Look this water, like a rapids
yeah,
coming in, flowing
yes.
through the
Yeah.
tunnels.
And obviously the subways are supposed to be built to prevent water from getting in, so that people can be safe, so that people might be able to take shelter
Hmm.
there if necessary. I mean, that's the whole idea. You can see some ground has collapsed here. That
Hmm.
shouldn't happen either. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, um, and this problem can be blamed on construction. Obviously, sometimes you have such big disasters that you cannot prepare for. Yeah, because it's just, oh
Oh.
my god, what the hell? You see, the ground
Yeah.
has collapsed right under
Yeah.
the person who was standing there.
Oh no. What's that? There's a person.
Okay, they're pulling. Yeah, they're
Oh, he
pulling
nearly died.
the person out.
Oh, this is.
I mean, they might have been swept away somewhere, but yeah, you have to. I think it's a lady. Look at this. Yeah, the cars floating in the water, so you can imagine how
I can
high the
imagine
water level
imagine
might
that
be.
I saw something similar, like in a few cities in summer. The cars were not
Right.
completely
I mean,
under the
I have
water,
never
but
seen
the
something
water
like
was
this
like
personally.
half a meter high, and it was enough. Just the car started floating in the water.
Wow. I mean, obviously, you can't plan for such a large flood, but you should plan so that, the water doesn't get in the subway or into some areas that are supposed to be safe where people can take refuge.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
or at least when it's coming up, the official should close the metro. That was the problem. They didn't close the metro. And the walls were already
Oh, I
collapsing, and they were
see.
still allowing people to enter the metro. This is what happened. Oh, look at the water.
So then it's then it's human error. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
this is human error. Yeah,
Someone's.
this is human. Some people would die anyway. So anyway, just let's skip to the end. How many people died in this terrible floods? Not only in this city, in the whole province. How many people died? Officially,
This.
like
I,
300 people.
I don't.
What we are looking at,
In the entire province.
entire province, and we have other
Wow.
examples. 300 people died. Officially, okay, officially, the local administration counted 99 people dead. Then the government of the central government in Beijing said, "No, you are undercounting. There's something wrong with you." They sent their
Yeah.
officials, and when they ended up the count, they came up with a number like 300.
Okay, yeah, so and this was not
China
undercounted at all. Yeah.
always, when you
Okay.
get the number from China, you have to always increase it by 10 times or even 100 times. Then you get the correct number. So if they say 300 people, I say something between 3,000 to 30,000 people
I mean,
died
hopefully
in this
not,
floods.
but let's see. Here we have the similar images, but with commentary.
Officials to
Correct.
maintain
Okay, let's listen to it. Very
stabilities
interesting.
and to shirk
Turn on the subtitles as
responsibilities.
well.
On July the 20th, many places in northern Henan province were devastated by a huge rainstorm. The Zhengzhou city was completely flooded and paralyzed. Videos on social networking sites show many residents were swept away by the water and many vehicles floating on the surface. 3 subways in Zhengzhou city were also submerged by tumbling floodwaters, with the deepest depth exceeding 2 meters. Zhengzhou Jingguang Road Tunnel, a 4-kilometer long tunnel with two-way 6 lanes, was filled with floodwater in 5 minutes during the rush hour on the July 20th.
Minutes. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Hundreds of
yeah.
cars were trapped in the tunnel and the real casualties are a mystery. More than 5,000 people from two villages in the Hui County, Henan, were trapped on the roof for days by the 2-meter deep floodwaters. No water, no electricity, no food, and no rescue.
It's
But
horrible.
as of now, the Chinese Communist Party officials said that there were 103 counties and 877 towns in Henan province, with 3,004,000 people were affected, 33 dead and 8
Yeah.
missing.
So
Okay, played from
let's go to
433.
the
433.
4 minute mark because I think
Yeah.
they show the
Mm-hmm.
tunnel there again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
433.
And here,
Tunnel, one of the
okay,
main traffic
there we go.
arteries in Zhengzhou, this 4-kilometer long tunnel became one of the most severely impacted areas in this flood.
So yeah, this is a 4 kilometer long tunnel, and it says here the number of victims is 6,000.
Now look at this counting. They say 4 kilometers long. They count one car for 8 meters. I think it's too much. I'm sure the tunnel was crowded. Imagine as soon as the first car stops, the
That's,
other cars don't
yeah,
stop
that is a
coming.
good point. I don't know
If
how.
let's listen to my counting. Six lanes, three
Yeah.
ways, right? 6 lanes, 4 kilometers long. If 3 meters for one car, it's 33 cars for 100 meters. It's 1,200 cars for 4 kilometers. That's 7,200 cars for 6 lanes. 2 people in a car. In my, according to my calculation, it's 14,500 people in the tunnel, and gets flooded in 5 minutes. How many people can get out in five
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah. Only the ones that are
They
close.
say
They can
number
only
of
the ones that are close to the the end of the tunnel. They might be able to get out.
yes, yes, yes,
Some
yes,
netizens
yes.
estimated that if one car took 8 meters long space in a lane, a total number of about 500 cars were occupied in one lane. 3,000 cars for 6 lanes. If 2 people were trapped in one car, there would be about 6,000 victims. On the night of July 20th, the tunnel was flooded in 5 minutes, and many vehicles and people were trapped. According to the mainland media reports, the deepest depth of the water in the tunnel has reached 13 meters. However, it was not until 10:39 on the 21st that Zhengzhou's traffic radio sent out the message saying that the Jingguang Road was seriously flooded and the whole line was cut off. Rescuers did not start pumping water until the afternoon of the 21st. They said the water level in the tunnel is full when they have arrived. The pumping trucks have been pumping water from 7 p.m. on the 21st till 4 p.m. the next day. Other than refueling the trucks, they have been operating non-stop this whole time.
Oh,
Beijing
so
daily
yeah, I mean, that's a lot of water.
So how many people officially died in the tunnel? 39.
I mean, that's that, yeah.
39.
Doesn't sound the only
Impossible.
only if you can, through some of the, if there is an opening there and you can get out of there somewhere. Otherwise, how do you get out? You know, unless you're able to swim to some
Even
opening.
if
Yeah,
even if there is an opening, there
yeah,
is not opening, but even if,
yeah.
impossible.
I
Impossible.
mean, no, that doesn't sound likely.
But this is how China lies. China doesn't value lives of their own people. They don't care. They don't care. Please from a minute
Let's go.
7:10.
Yeah, let's go here. See what.
The
Uh-huh.
Oh,
flooding was
here we
not
can see on
only
the.
a natural disaster, but also a man-made disaster by the Chinese Communist officials. First, CCP officials failed to warn people in advance of the dam reservoir's discharge and failed to notify them of the emergency evacuation. The Tangzhuang Reservoir, located 2 kilometers away from Zhengzhou, is the drinking water source for the Zhengzhou people. The super heavy rainfall and upstream water caused the reservoir water level to rise sharply, and this 1958 built reservoir was reinforced twice and still faces a risk of flooding. To ensure the safety of the reservoir itself, according to Zhengzhou's official Weibo account, the Tangzhuang Reservoir began to flood downstream at 10:30 a.m. on the
Wait, is
20th,
that
but
like 12
officials failed
hours?
to warn the downstream residents until 10:30 p.m. when the
Wait, this is 10:30 a.m. This is 10:30 p.m. What the hell? That's 12 hours? Were they hoping that oh, maybe the water level will go down in 12 hours?
Yeah, maybe.
party media People's Daily Weibo account announced that Changzhuang Reservoir will be released on the evening of the 20th. By this time, the reservoir had already been flooded a whole day before the officials issued a flood warning to the public. The timeline of the whole incident is that the Zhengzhou reservoir was quietly released at 10:30 a.m. and then a serious flooding situation broke out in Zhengzhou in the afternoon, and the official media issued a flood warning at 10:30 p.m. The Zhengzhou people who has experienced it firsthand said that the
I saw
flooding
picture
did
like this in
happen
other
in the
cities.
afternoon. The water rises in the afternoon due to the heavy rain. We were not notified until the flood has happened. Wang Weiluo, a well-known hydraulic expert who lives in Germany, pointed out that according to the official data, the flow of the 21st flood was as high as 600 cubic meters per second, while the flow from the reservoir the night before was
Oh,
525 cubic meters per second. This means that more than 500 cubic meters per second was contributed by the dam reservoir discharge, which are considered as artificial flood. Regarding reservoir flood discharge, we quote a local official from Anhui province last year. Reservoir floodwater discharge can only be done secretly. If you come to notify people, it would involve the downstream villages, farms, and
Did you
enterprises
see that?
compensation
Yeah, I
issues.
mean,
If you
what?
just
So
farms and
they don't want to
enterprises
notify
compensation
some
issues.
one because then they will have to compensate them. What the hell?
yes, yes, yes. Not only reservoirs, also dams. They are secretly releasing the water at night. So the farmers,
I
they don't
see.
notify the farmers. The farmers know. Sometimes the
I will.
farmers go
I mean,
and guard
I
the
haven't heard
dam.
about this, but I'm not
They
a
know this is what
farmer
government does to them
in
all the
China. But
time, every
let's
year.
see a few more seconds.
Mm.
If you don't notify them about the reservoir discharge, there is no such thing as a compensation since it will be a natural disaster. Secondly, party officials are too pleased with their work and too lazy to practice politics.
It's awful if you have government like this that
Obviously,
they
they
know they
can't
are
let the
going to
dam
hurt
break,
you,
so they
but for
have
the
to
greater
release some of
good,
the water. I
they
understand that,
sacrifice
but
you.
the
You
point is,
sacrifice
there
you.
is normally it's being done slowly. If there is a sudden discharge, they will have to warn someone in the city. Yeah. So. Yes. Maybe it
Again,
will not be so
incompetence. They
much.
don't know how bad
Right.
it's going to be. They
Well,
are kind of hoping that it'll be okay. Yeah. And you know how it is. They don't. They,
mm-hmm,
sometimes they
mm-hmm.
even don't talk to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
You know, the people working in the reservoir, maybe they don't talk to the people in the city, and you know how it works in China. They don't
yeah. I
cooperate.
see what you mean.
They don't cooperate.
Well, let's see.
Everybody's just
There was a
covering
statement
their
on
own
TV,
ass.
right,
Yeah.
by the general secretary.
Yeah.
Let's play a little more here. What is it from the 12-minute mark or so?
Mm.
21st, Xi Jinping gave important instructions on flood control and disaster relief,
Congratulations! It's like he
emphasizing that the
himself
safety of people's
telling
life
them
and
what
properties
to
should be the
do.
priority.
You hear now. You heard it from the expert. Well, let's hear a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And that is more important to prevent poverty due to disasters and to prevent a major epidemic after the disaster. Xi Jinping's slogan, which was firstly introduced in 2018 and was repeated during the Yangtze River flood last year. Yet in between the two floods, people again have suffered from severe casualties, and no senior CCP officials were seen rushing to the afflicted area to investigate the situation and console the victims, downplaying the disaster and avoiding responsibilities. What stabilization tactics does the CCP often use to preserve itself during major crises? First, shirking the responsibility to the nature in order to cover up man-made factors. The Zhengzhou Meteorological Bureau said it was a once-in-a-thousand-year rainstorm, implying that it was normal for the government to be unable to prevent a natural disaster of this magnitude.
Oh, the years just keep
Officials in
going up, don't
Henan
they?
province said this is a once-in-a-5,000 years rainstorm,
Ah.
again with the aim of rationalizing the CCP's inability to respond. This is to mislead the public into believing that the disaster is purely a natural disaster and not a man-made disaster by the Chinese Communist Party. But a Chinese netizen asked, where did China get its rainfall records 5,000 years ago? How did the officials come to the
This is
conclusion
a
that it
good
was a
question. Were
once
they
in a
reading from the
5,000 year
city?
event?
From some
You think we were
once
idiots?
records? Oh, there was no flood like that before. Well, I mean, actually, we know
Yeah.
there have been floods plaguing China for centuries, so this is nothing new. Obviously, I don't know how much water there was compared to the past, but this is a flood in Wuhan from 1933, I believe. 31, I'm sorry. Yeah. So,
1931, August. Uh-huh. Yeah, this was the deadliest natural disaster in world history. Happened in the central China, 1931, when the Yangtze River overtopped its bank as when the spring the snow melt and mingled with the over 24 like 600 millimeters of rain fell during the month of July, and it was such a terrible disaster when officially like 3 million people died, but
Goodness.
they
I
may
mean,
have been as many as 3.7 million people. So this disaster was not as bad as the one in Zhengzhou, because the
yeah, I mean,
government said
luckily
the
the
worst
officials were there, so it didn't get
floods in
worse.
1,000 years. So who could foresee something like that, right?
Right. What the hell?
Yeah,
Here we
right.
can see. Yeah. This is
But only
yeah,
300 people
Wuhan. Yeah, makes
died,
sense
so
because this is
not so bad, right?
the Yangtze River,
Could be much
long
worse.
river, Changjiang, flows through this area. So yeah, I mean it makes sense. That this would be worse. I mean you don't
Mm.
I'm
Right,
not sure
right.
about what
So same area.
river Zhengzhou has here, but probably not so much water flow going through there. Yeah.
And could not watch
Let's see if we can
videos,
see a
and
little bit
police came
more.
to their door and warned them not to release any videos and related information to the public. Then people were also called and warned to delete the information from their WeChat moment that were posted. Third, using
So
positive
instead they
energy
were supposed to
propaganda to
not
make the morning
say
event a
anything
praise
negative.
of the
Rather,
party.
obviously the local officials would want something positive to appear in the media, right? Because otherwise it's a huge embarrassment for them. Oh, yeah, sorry.
They have a
In the
manual,
normal
how
society,
to
after a
inform.
major disaster has occurred, the focus of attention is often on the cause of the disaster and the number of people killed or injured in the disaster. But in China, what people see in the media is a lot of positive reports about how wise and smart the central and local officials are in giving important instructions, and how brave the military and police are in saving and rescuing the people from the disaster. These so-called positive reports are almost all political propaganda used to glorify the party, deliberately posed by the party media to promote the party and glorify it. And the number of casualties and the severity of the disaster were reported however they wanted it. The purpose of these reports is to make a mourning event into a positive event, which eliminates people's dissatisfaction with the party, to lead viewers to forget people's losses that are caused by the disaster, to lead them to praise the party's greatness, to be grateful to the party for providing the disaster relief, and to maintain the stability of the party's regime. Fourth, inciting nationalist sentiment to fight against foreign enemies to shift the focus. When the
Image,
CCP
yeah, it
is in
says here,
crisis, it
Ninda,
will
very
often play the
respectful.
nationalism
Ian,
card to
Yixing,
shift the focus
words, and
and
after
incite the
this,
Image.
yeah.
people to
That's what
They
they care about.
all represent the image of Zhengzhou. Yeah. Please don't, like a strict forbidden, don't gather around here. Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh my god. Yeah. This,
fight
They
against
pretend
its
that nothing
enemies, so
happens.
they can
yeah, so
easily
Go
get
on
obviously
away
with
this
your
from it.
is,
lives and be happy that you
very
survived.
critical of how the local government in Zhengzhou dealt with
So
this. Oh.
in the subway disaster, officially only 14 people died. 14 people died officially. So what happened there? They allowed people to board the metro, didn't close the metro.
Right.
The floods
Well, yeah,
destroyed
I mean, if they were enclosed,
their
if,
the flood
mhm.
defenses at 6 p.m., but maybe even earlier.
I see.
Uh-huh. people are allowed
No,
to
they thought, well, okay,
enter the metro
why
even
create panic?
before
Maybe
six
nothing will
o'clock.
happen.
Uh,
This is
then
absolutely irresponsible. Yeah.
incompetence and stupidity, and every worker and every government employee must follow the rules and orders. No matter, first the orders are stupid not to close, and second the orders are stupid to close when maybe they don't have to close. So they always follow the orders, and then the even bigger disaster strikes for no reason. I mean, there there was awful that there was something terrible. The water, I mean, they were rising. The people were allowing. They said they were allowing children, elderly, and pregnant women to stand on the seats as the water level was rising. They eventually later they broke the glass window so they could get some air in. Otherwise they would suffocate. But they it was no point. They drowned.
That's a good
They
question.
drowned or
Yeah.
suffocated.
Yeah, we
And
can see
you know,
some
you know
people in
what
vests
time?
already, so they're
What
taking
time
some people
the
in.
rescue mission arrived? 9 p.m. 9 p.m. They
That's
arrived at 9 p.m.
yeah, that's a good question.
3 hours later when the disaster struck. How is that possible?
Unbelievable.
Did they did they
Three
did they arrive
hours.
from Beijing? Or what happened there? Unbelievable. 3 hours before the rescuers arrived. They know how it
They
happens. When
criticize
they
the
arrive,
rescuers,
they
but
just
maybe the
first maybe
system
take
was not
pictures,
set.
make
Maybe
sure
there
that
was a
they
problem
look
in the
like
design
heroes.
that they were not able to get there fast.
Everything,
This should not have. It should not. Then it shouldn't have been built like that in the first place. No, I mean here we can see the Chinese premier Li Keqiang coming in to
yeah.
inspect the subway. I guess it's supposed to be the same one, after the floods or whatever. And I see. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But they are wearing masks, so it's good. It's safe now.
So you can see there is
That
an
COVID is
inspection.
more
So
dangerous because we are talking about
such a thing will
2021
certainly
than
never
the
happen
floods.
again in the
You
future.
know.
Yeah. Well, what is the problem? Why do these things keep happening in China? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, because the infrastructure is very poorly built. Their precautions are done only after a disaster happens, and the officials are very slow in erection. They are incompetent, and China cares,
I think the
as I
problem
said,
with the
more about the
officials
image
on
or
these lower
saving their
administrative
own face
levels is
than
that
saving the lives.
based on what do they get promoted, right? If they carry out orders of their superiors, if they can get these things done well and efficiently, and if there are no problems within their respective areas, let's say administrative areas, some geographical areas, right? So they are incentivized not to, report on problems, to sweep them under the rug.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, if there were no problems, okay, this person is doing great, let's promote them, let's say, all the way to the Chinese Communist Party Central Committee. And when you start to see, so when you start out with this kind of behavior being incentivized at the lower levels,
Hmm.
then it's going to continue all the way to the very top. Yeah. Yeah, we have one more video here. This was from China Uncensored. Let's see what they had to say about these floods.
Hmm.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. 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 Please.
So social media can be a
Question.
huge headache for the Chinese regime. For example, people questioned why authorities weren't more prepared for the flooding. Zhengzhou is part of a project known as sponge cities, which were supposed to use sustainable infrastructure to help absorb water and mitigate flooding. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project. So when people started to question the government's response to the floods, including the Sponge City project, they started getting censored. Officials defended the Sponge City project, saying that it wasn't designed to deal with flooding this severe. I mean, the whole point of a massive infrastructure project is that it only works sometimes. Another issue has been the flooding in the Zhengzhou subway. Officially, 14 people drowned in the flooded subway trains, while 500 were rescued. Multiple videos emerged of people standing neck deep in water. A viral post from someone claiming to be a subway worker accused the Zhengzhou subway authorities of causing the disaster through mismanagement. It was quickly censored. Meanwhile, people put flowers outside the subway station to mourn the people who died. But then authorities put up plastic barricades around the flowers. That image went viral and was widely criticized on social media. That night, Zhengzhou residents took down the barricades and vowed to do it again if authorities replaced them. Authorities did put the barricades back up again, and people took them down again. All of this shows how sensitive natural disasters are for the Chinese Communist
Why
Party.
do you think the
They have a way to
Chinese
deal
Communist
with
Party
these
is so
disasters.
sensitive to
I'll
these
tell you
natural
more after
disasters? They
Well, because they look incompetent. They are supposed to be leading the country better than in democratic in other democratic countries. So they are the ones who are wise and know better what the people need, how to protect its own people. But if the party starts looking like they don't care
Yes,
or they cannot
what's the
protect
point of
anybody,
the party
then
being in
people
power in
start
the first
rebelling and
place?
asking questions. Why do we need you? What do we need you for? What's the- Yeah, let me read you a story about a local resident in Zhangzhou, Zong. So he rushed to the Shakolu station when he discovered that his wife was trapped inside the Line 5 train. And when he arrived there at 7:30 p.m., which was like 1.5 hours after the disaster struck, and 1.5 hours before the rescue mission arrived, right? So the staff that was blocking the entrance was unaware of the situation inside the tunnel. You know how it is in China. You just stand here and don't allow anybody to enter. And they don't even ask what's happening inside. Not your business, right? So
Yeah.
this guy is standing there and this guy Zong arrives and he wants to enter, saying that his wife is there, right? And he says, no, everything is fine. Everybody's out. Everybody's safe. Nobody's in the tunnels. And that Zong calls his wife, makes a video call with his wife who is still trapped inside the train, who is going to die, right? In probably in the next 10 minutes. And then showing him to this guy, say, see, my wife is still there. She's stuck here. And he kneels down and he begs this guy to let him enter. So he can go and save his wife because nobody else is saving anybody. No way. He cannot enter. That's it. Done. Get out of here. So probably it's just enough time to say goodbye to his wife and that's it. And then probably in a few days he can, if he is lucky, If he's lucky, he can recover his wife's dead body. So China was covering everything. I have any questions? The people were harassed, and there were threats. There were threats against foreign journalists who were the only ones who were standing outside and reporting what they saw. What they saw. They were accusing journalists of smearing China, especially the BBC journalists, right? There were people were chasing them away because the government was telling them, they are
They would still
smearing, they're telling
maybe be
lies.
less likely to
There's
remove them
nothing
than
to
some
see
local
here.
journalists.
Everything is fine.
Yeah.
Nobody is dying. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
There's
yeah,
no
that's
point
the
for
other
the
point.
local
Yeah.
journalists to go anywhere, to report about, because nobody would publish
But
anything,
but it
they would.
does remind me, of how Chinese
Yeah.
people
There's no
felt
reason for that.
about natural
But this
disasters
is
for
China.
centuries. That
Yeah.
they're basically a response of the heaven, Tian, to the way that rulers behave.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
I mean, we saw this after the um, horrible earthquake that happened in
Right.
1976
Right.
in Tangshan. Yeah. And this was, shortly before Chairman Mao's death.